you thinking that 3 traits might be for the top successful paralegals? Hi, I'm Ann Pearson with the Paralegal Bootcamp, and today I want to talk about 3 uncommon traits or things we don't talk about too often. Look, there are so many traits, skills, and habits that make for a successful paralegal career. I'm going to give you 3 of them in this video, 3 traits that might surprise you. Those 3 are accountability, professionalism, and perseverance. Let's start with accountability. It's a big one. Do you have accountability? I'm not asking if you're being held accountable. Do you have internal accountability for your career, for the files you manage, for the projects you work on, for the job you have? First, let me give you the definition so that we're all on the same page. Anyways, according to the dictionary, not verbatim, but accountability is the act, like the fact or condition of being accountable. Okay, well, what is accountable? It's an obligation or a willingness to accept responsibility to account for one's own actions. In other words, accountability is you taking ownership of what you do. You take ownership of your work, of your cases, your transactions, your closings, your trademark filings, that e-filing project, whatever it is that you do as a paralegal, you take ownership. It also means that you take ownership of your mistakes. What's the difference between responsibility and accountability? Well, responsibility is what you have to do. For example, it's part of your job responsibility. With accountability, you own it and you make it happen. It's a mindset that this project will not fail on my watch. Accountability is stepping up to make sure that it's done on time and done right, regardless of the job title or who's in charge. Before I get into some actionable strategies that are going to help you with an accountability mindset, let's talk about what a lack of accountability looks like. It means that you ignore feedback or you take constructive criticism personally. Your way is the right way, and no one should even dare to suggest that it could be done better or that there's a more efficient way of doing things. And this is especially if you've been a paralegal for 20 or 30 or 40 years, and that new paralegal comes in and tries to show you a way to do it better when they've got only 5 years of experience. Yeah, that's not going to happen, right? But, all right, so a lack of accountability also shows up when you feel like you can just disregard policies and procedures that you feel they're unnecessary and they don't apply to me. You know what another aspect of owning accountability is? Taking ownership of your career. I talk about that a lot, I know, but it's so important for your success. Have you not received that on-the-job training that you thought you were going to receive when you started that new position? Go out and get it yourself. Is your firm expecting you to know how to site check and e-file summary judgment briefs, but no one's taken the time to show you how to do it? Go out and get the training. If you have accountability for your career, then you understand that you and you alone have control over how successful your career is. I watched this TEDx talk, and it was this woman, Janice Barrios, I think her name, I can't quite pronounce it, but it's spelled with a Y, Janyssa, I believe it is. Anyways, she told the story about how she was an okay soccer player for like 10 years. She never really pushed herself. She was never consistent with her practice sessions, but she was okay. And it was at a time in her life when she had excuses for all kinds of other problems that she had, until one day she decided she needed to start holding herself accountable. So she started wrestling, of all things. And instead of just mediocre participation, she took accountability for herself and gave it her all. She ended up being the first female wrestler ever to go to college on a wrestling scholarship. In the TEDx talk, the reason I bring that up is she said something that really stuck with me. She said, we all talk about how actions speak louder than words, but that we forget that there are also consequences for inactions. Are there inactions that could be holding back your paralegal career? Are there inactions that are causing you to make less money than your peers? Look, don't shoot the messenger. I'm here to help remind you that if things maybe they're not what you thought about, that they would be, and maybe you haven't thought about this in a while. We start off the year with good intentions, lofty goals, and then life happens. Before you know it, you're 5 years into your paralegal career and you forgot the goal that you set way back when, that maybe you wanted to get that certification or get that graduate degree. Whatever it is that's going to help you do your job better and excel at your career where it doesn't rely on someone down the hall. It's only relying on you holding yourself accountable. Do these 3 things. If you want to raise your accountability level, 1 is be consistent. 2 is take ownership for your career, your projects, your mistakes. And 3, accept feedback. Maybe even seek it out. Okay, that's trait number 1. Now, trait number 2, professionalism. Most of us, me included, immediately turn to how we look, how we act in front of the client or a judge. While those things are important, I'm talking more about internal professionalism for this one. I'm talking about confidence, work ethic, reliability, having a positive attitude, handling stress and pressure with grace. In other words, being the calm, not the storm. Being a team player and collaborating with others for the good of serving the client. That means helping out fellow paralegals, not just so that they don't fail, but so that they are hugely successful, because you understand that when you help make another paralegal look good to the attorneys, it elevates the entire paralegal profession. Professionalism is also avoiding the gossip group, because you know that being seen as one of them is not going to serve you well in the long term for your career. Going above and beyond what's expected of you because you take great pride in what you do. When I think of professionalism, I think of the interview I did, and it was on the podcast. It was with Kim Bookout. She was a paralegal of mine back when I was a paralegal manager. She really was the epitome of professionalism. I couldn't define it back then, but during her interview, it was clear what it was about her. One of the actionable strategies that she had for those who want career mobility was to be kind to everyone. Everyone that you come into contact with, because you never know if that's going to be your future boss or that paralegal down the hall is going to be your future client. Kindness to everyone. It's a pretty good lesson. So when you think of professionalism going forward, add that to your list. Be kind to everybody. Number 3 is perseverance. Perseverance is the act of continuing to do something despite difficulty or delay. The delay involved in success. It's the ability to survive the curveballs, to deal with the challenges that life throws at us. Think about that in terms of your paralegal career. The reason I brought this up, like I said, I've done quite a few podcast interviews, and they were the first months of the year, and it's for our monthly inspiration episode. And if you didn't know, there's a Paralegals on Fire podcast show. So I've already got a lot of the interviews done for the ones that are coming out in the early part of 2023. And one of the common themes that I was hearing from these paralegals was perseverance. Maybe they started out and it wasn't a great job, but they didn't give up. They didn't give up on their paralegal career. They moved to a different practice area, or they moved to a different firm, or a different team within the same firm. They kept trying until they found their dream paralegal job. You know what perseverance also looks like? It's the ability to pivot, being adaptable and flexible. Those skills help you come up with solutions to problems. Now, combine all three of these traits into one person, you, accountability, professionalism, and perseverance. You're headed to the successful paralegal kingdom. I have no doubt about it. Oh, but I would also add patience to that. Have those three traits and a little bit of patience, and there's no stopping you.